and the guy in that story just sounded like a misogynistic piece of crap as well, and I just can't be arsed, so bye-bye. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I love to talk about books. And today I'm revisiting a video that I did last year where I looked at the oldest books on my TBR and asked you guys whether I should keep them or get rid of them. The response was inconclusive. So I've seen a few people recently doing try a chapter, and I thought, I think I'm going to give that a try, seeing as I have taken the pressure off myself reading wise this year, where I'm not really setting a reading goal. I haven't got a structure to my reading. I thought that actually this is a year where I can really spend a bit of time looking at the books that are on my TBR that have been on there for, you know, some of them more than 10 years, and think, am I ever going to read this book? Is this book still the sort of book that I want to read? Is there a reason why I haven't picked it up in all this time? Or actually, is it a hidden gem that I'm actually going to really love and I just haven't picked it up because I have too many goddamn books? And this is going to help me. So I thought I would start off with books on that previous video, which I will link in the description, and just see if I am going to keep them or if I'm going to donate them. And I was laughing at myself because there were a couple in that video that I definitely said I was going to get rid of. I didn't really do it. One of them I can't find, so by miracle this self-confessed hoarder might have actually finally got rid of a book. But sorry, my dog's just joining us. Hello Hamish, because I'm actually sitting in his seat. Those of you who are familiar with my channel might notice that I've had a bit of a reshuffle in my living room, and that's for a couple of different reasons, and also kind of the reason why I want to revisit the older books on my book collection, because this is exciting, and it might not ever happen because I'm the queen of procrastination, but I'm turning my dining room into my own library. So I'm having a bit of a sort through of books as the year goes on. Anyway, back to what we're actually talking about. So this is the stack of books that I had talked about in that original video. And if I'd been slick, I'd have actually filmed this part after I had done reading, but I am not slick. I think we all know that by now. I mean, my TV is in shot. You have no idea how long I have fucked around with this camera today to try and get my TV out of shot. It ain't happening. So yeah, I'm not very slick. I haven't done the reading part of this, so there will no doubt be frequent costume changes as I go through each of these, because there's no way. I'm a slow reader. Like, there's no way I'm going to get through all of these in one day. So I'll go through each of these just to let you know what they are. And when it comes to their turn for me to do my little test reading on them, I will pick a clip from the original video rather than rehashing it all just now. So the first one was Dave Thompson's Biography of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Then we had Maxim Gorky's My Childhood, Douglas Coupland's Microserfs, Camilla Gibb's Mouthing the Words, Margaret Forster's The Memory Box, David Gates's short story collection, The Wonders of the Invisible World, Martin Amos's Other People, Roald Dahl's Switch Bitch. So this is probably going to take me all week to get through, so I will check back in when I pick up the first book. My Childhood by Maxim Gorky. I think I picked this up in the fabulous used bookshop Voltaire Rousseau, which is in the West End of Glasgow. But I can't think for the life of me why I picked this up, because the cover, that is so ugly. That would not have been what appealed to me, but it is a memoir and I do really like those. It says, coloured by poverty and horrifying brutality, Gorky's childhood equipped him to understand, in a way denied to a Tolstoy or Turgenev, the life of the ordinary Russian. After his father, a paper hanger and upholsterer, died of cholera, 5-year-old Gorky was taken to live with his grandfather, a polecat-faced tyrant who would regularly beat him unconscious, and with his grandmother, a tender mountain of a woman and a wonderful storyteller who would kneel beside their bed,
Gorky miming sleep, and give God her views on the day's happenings, down to the last fascinating detail. She was, in fact, Gorky's closest friend and the epic heroine of a book swarming with characters and with the sensations of a curious and often frightened little boy. So actually that sounds quite good, and apparently he is the father of Russian literature, although that's not a subgenre that I am particularly crazy about, and I've never heard of him, but I am curious about that story.
This is the first in a trilogy of memoirs. I read the first 5 pages where we meet Maxim Gorky as a young child in a room where his dead father is laid out and his grieving mother goes into labour. A few pages later, he is on a boat with his grandmother, his mother, and his baby brother, who is dead and about to be buried. So this is clearly going to be a barrel of laughs. But, you know, I am quite intrigued. I quite liked the writing style, the storytelling, so I think this one is a keep.
By the way, the biography of the Red Hot Chili Peppers by Dave Thompson. I was a huge Chili Peppers fan when I was younger. I've seen them live 3 or 4 times. I was just completely obsessed with them. Not so much anymore. I haven't listened to them in years. The band is really interesting. It's made up of some really interesting men, not just in this lineup, but in its different versions. And there's a lot of difficult and sad stories in their journey to being famous. And so I think from that point of view, even though I'm not really into their music anymore, their older music will always mean a lot to me, and I think they are just really interesting. I've read biographies of people that I didn't know about before. I've read biographies of people that I didn't really think I would be interested in and really enjoyed them before. So I'm kind of torn on this one.
I'm not sure if I've already read this. I think if I did, I probably didn't finish it. And yeah, whilst I was a massive fan when I was younger, I don't really listen to them anymore. I seem to have passed that on to my oldest boy. He's actually going to go and see them live later in the year. Yeah, I didn't know they were still touring either. I read the first 6 pages where we're just having the scene set for us, the music scene that is of LA in the 1970s. There's a good energy to the writing, though it can veer into being quite overwritten. And flicking through the rest of the book, I don't think that wanes, so it could be quite annoying. But this could be a good trip down memory lane, so for now it's going on the maybe pile.
Microserfs by Douglas Coupland. So I went through a real Douglas Coupland phase. It started off with Generation X, which I liked, and then I loved Girlfriend in a Coma and Eleanor Rigby. Then I thought Life After God, which is this one that I've still got, and also Shampoo Planet, which I seem to have unhauled that one already. They were a bit meh. And then I really did not like The Gum Thief, which I've unhauled. And so I kind of went off of him after that. So I'm thinking with this one, it might not have aged well. When was it written? Let's see, I think it was 90s, early 90s, 95, so bang in the middle of the 90s. And it's set at computer giant Microsoft, where Dan, Susan, Abe, Todd, and Bug are struggling to get a life in a high-speed, high-tech environment. The job may be super cool, the pay may be astronomical, but they're heading nowhere, and however hard they work, however many shares they earn, they're never going to be as rich as Bill. And besides, with all the hours they're putting in, their best relationships are on email. Something's got to give. I think if this wasn't a Douglas Coupland book and I looked at that premise, I probably wouldn't be that interested in it. But if it is more like Generation X and Girlfriend in a Coma and Eleanor Rigby, I would probably enjoy it.
I've liked some of his stuff, I haven't liked some of his stuff. And before I went into this, I was erring on the edge of probably not liking this one either, because it's a 90s book about tech nerds, which doesn't really speak to me at all. It's not really my thing. I read 5 pages of it, I flicked to a few others, and just, no, it wasn't doing it for me.
Mouthing the Words by Camilla Gibb. I've never read any of her books before, and this is about Thelma, who is 6 years old. Life at home is unsettling and disturbing. Her father's games are not enjoyable, and her mother dotes on Willie, the favoured child. When her parents move to Canada, Thelma smuggles her imaginary friends with her in her suitcase. By turns harrowing and wonderfully funny, Mouthing the Words tells Thelma's story of sexual abuse, anorexia, borderline multiple personality disorder, and her return to England. Reminiscent of Jeanette Winterson and Sylvia Plath, Mouthing the Words is a remarkable and inspiring fiction debut. It actually has a quote from Jeanette Winterson, which is a bit cringe. It says, "It's sassy, it's smart. Go girl." Oh dear. There's a lot going on in this book, isn't there? Sexual abuse, anorexia, borderline multiple personality disorder, and immigration. So
I wasn't sure that much misery kind of sounded all that interesting to me, but it is fiction and not like the memoirs of the time it was published, which is 2002, which seemed to really objectify the stories of child abuse. So it might be okay. So like I read the first 10 pages and wasn't sure. So then I read the first page of about 4 other chapters throughout the book. It's odd. I can't decide if it's good or like if it's a good odd or if it's trying too hard to be quirky. So it's joining the Red Hot Chili Peppers on the maybe pile.
yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's going to go in the charity pile, possibly the bin, is Roald Dahl's Switch Bitch. So let's rewind. We all know, particularly for my generation, Roald Dahl was the childhood writer. I loved him. My dad used to read Roald Dahl books to me and my brother at bedtime. It's one of my favourite childhood memories. I adored him to the point where I bought this massive biography of him by Donald Stirk. It's called Storyteller, The Life of Roald Dahl. So before I read this, I had read Dahl's own memoirs, Boy and Going Solo. I really loved Boy. Boy is fantastic. Going Solo I didn't like quite so much. There is a touch of who I'm now realising who Roald Dahl really was. This goes into it a bit. He was a bit of a liar, but this book didn't really put me off Dahl, it just made me question him. Obviously, there's now other things about him that make him quite an unattractive character. But this book, Switch Bitch, came in a box set with some other Roald Dahl books. I think it had more than this, but maybe not. In fact, it did, because one is definitely missing. I probably burned it. My Uncle Oswald was so disgusting that it actually left me feeling ashamed that I had loved his books for children. I mean, essentially, it's just a story making light of rape. In this case, it's the rape of men. And it just made my skin crawl. I thought it was disgusting. This one definitely sounds like it's more in line with My Uncle Oswald, so I think it's pretty much definitely going to go in the bin, because apparently it's got the delicious thrill of sexual expectation and its sometimes maddening effects. The Visitor and Bitch are extracts from the diaries of the notorious Oswald Hendricks Cornelius, who I think, yes, is Uncle Oswald again.
I really should have thrown this out when I did that previous video, because like I said, I haven't enjoyed Dahl's other adult fiction that I've read, and that one book really turned my stomach. So it's here. I thought I would give it at least the hate read, but then when I sat down to do it, I couldn't be arsed. The first story is 55 pages long. It's not a very long book, and it's about that character of Dahl's uncle, Oswald Cornelius, or whatever the hell his name is, that I'd hated that previous book about as well. And I just hated the fawning tone that was going on over such a misogynistic piece of crap. And then I flicked through to another story, and the guy in that story just sounded like a misogynistic piece of crap as well, and I just can't be arsed, so bye-bye.
It's The Memory Box by Margaret Forster. I've never read anything by this author before. It says, a mother leaves her baby daughter a mysterious sealed box before she dies. Years later, when Catherine opens her mother's box, she finds it full of strange, unexplained objects, carefully wrapped and numbered like clues to a puzzle. Catherine never knew her mother, but her idealised image as the perfect, beautiful and talented woman that the rest of her family remembers has long cast a shadow over her life. As she tries to solve the mystery of the box of secrets, she is pulled into the past and into her mother's story, which reveals a woman far more complex, surprising and dangerous than the family legend has allowed. And in turn, Catherine, fiercely independent and self-absorbed, discovers unexpected truths about herself. So that could be good. It could be a bit of a dud. I don't know.
I've just been given the biography that she's written of Daphne du Maurier, which until I had realised that was the same author, I thought that this might be a bit too light for me, but I was hooked by the first few pages. I actually think this is the one that I am most excited about. I want to know what's in that box, damn it. So I think this is obviously definitely a keep, but I think I would be wanting to read this one quite soon.
The Wonders of the Invisible World by David Gates. Another author that I've never heard of. A woman misses her true love and chafes at life with an embittered husband. A gay man leaves the big city for life in his hometown, only to find himself cast as a father figure to his detoxing sister's young son. A down-at-heel academic loses his wife, child and student lover. Often dark, but always funny, these are stories from one of America's most brilliant and vivid chroniclers, who I've never heard of.
So I read 5 pages of the first story, which is about an unhappy couple where the woman is pregnant and feels that she can't leave the man because he's in his 50s and this is his first child. The writing in this really grabbed me, and I could have happily kept reading that story. I had a flick through at some of the other stories in the collection and they seem just as solid, so this is a definite keep.
Other People by Martin Amis. It's Amis, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's Amis. Now I've read one of his books called The Night Train. Literally couldn't tell you anything about it apart from I think the main character was female but very butch, and that's about all I can remember. She was like a police officer. So what's this one about? Like a ghost or a fugitive, Mary runs through London, pursuing and pursued by memory and forgetting, by the compelling Amy Hyde and the charming Mr. Wrong. Martin Amis sustains an unnervingly high degree of suspense as Mary and the reader yearn to grasp what's happened to Mary's past and ponder what its loss has gained her, unfolding as a metaphysical thriller where jealously guarded secrets jostle with startling insights. Other People is ambitious and accomplished, and heralded for Amis an unexpected new direction as a novelist, and for the rest of us an experience not to be missed. There's a lot of ass kissing in that, which doesn't always mean it's going to be worth it.
So this one opens with a woman who appears to be in a hospital, maybe an A&E unit, who clearly seems to have such bad amnesia that she doesn't even know what clouds are or shoes are. And so I'm intrigued enough to want to read more of this and to keep it. So the results of this little experiment. I have 2 books that I am getting rid of. This one because it's a misogynistic piece of crap by a misogynistic piece of crap. And then this one because it's just not my thing. So they are going in the charity bag. Then my definite keeps are one that I really want to get to soon. And probably actually this one I would quite like to get to soon. This one I'm really intrigued by, so I think it will definitely get read this year. And this one, I'll keep it, but there's a possibility that I will still have this on my TBR in a few years' time, I think. And then on to my maybes, which were Camilla Gibb's Mouthing the Words and the Red Hot Chili Peppers Biography. I'm really, really bad at getting rid of books, and I have a lot to wade through that I think there might be ones that will come up that are easier to let go of in my collection than these ones. I think the very fact that, because it's not as if I never cull, there has been culls over the years, and the fact that these are still on my shelves despite having been on my TBR for over a decade, I think, and now that now I've looked at them and I'm still swithering, I think there's probably, okay, maybe I'm just in denial and trying to justify things to myself, but I think there might be value in keeping hold of these ones. Who knows when I'll ever read them. If I'm struggling for book space, then maybe I will reconsider. The reason I'm going through my books isn't necessarily because of space. It's just I want a more curated collection, and I want to get rid of books that don't define me as a reader anymore, and those two I'm not sure about, but I'm quite happy to get rid of ones that really don't speak to me as a reader and don't, you know, they don't have a place on my shelves anymore. So that was actually quite a fun little exercise. I'll probably try and do one of these every kind of, I don't know, maybe once a quarter we'll do that. It depends how my my library project actually progresses. Maybe I need to do it faster. Maybe the project will never come to fruition and I'll have my whole life to do these sporadically. But I hope you've enjoyed my little experiments. Let me know, do you do things like this? What do you think of the choices that I've made? Are there any books in there that you would have made different decisions about? I'd be interested to know. And until next time, bye. And Hamish, if you sat where I'm trying to dramatically fling the books that I don't want to hit you books.